Hey guys, welcome back to the CxG podcast. This is episode 3. I hope you guys still remember us because we're back. It's been quite some time, and I take full responsibility for that. I had a lot of chaotic things going on with work, but sadly that's a thing of the past, and we're back. I'm Josh from Games of War, joined by my co-host as always, Joe Cornmuffin. How you doing, buddy?
All right, how you doing, Josh?
I'm doing good. It's good to be talking to you again. Good to be back.
It's definitely good to be back. It's been a while.
That it has. That it has. I mean, these days they seem to fly by so fast with work and gaming and regular life. I mean, everything goes by so fast. But I miss doing the podcast, man. I miss talking games, and it's good to be back. So I know we've got a lot to talk about. The gaming world is swirling right now, a buzz with the newest announcement, the Xbox One.
Yes, I think it would be a good opportunity right now since the entire next generation, as we know it, is pretty much laid out. We can kind of discuss how the generation will go, maybe some predictions, some ideas, some likes, dislikes of how you see things.
For sure, for sure. Did you watch the actual the Microsoft's press conference or whatever? Did you watch that?
I did not watch the entire thing. The problem with it is that unlike the Sony presentation, the Xbox presentation was on at 2 a.m. my time, which was not going to happen.
Okay, okay. I did watch it. It was at a reasonable time. I think it was like I think what was it 6 o'clock, I believe, for my time. Excuse me. And I caught the opening, and I watched, I don't know, a good half hour of it. And when that half hour was up, I really couldn't take much more. I kind of drifted off and was playing a game or something and didn't really pay much attention after the initial half hour. But I pretty much saw everything I needed to see, and from what I didn't see, I caught up on everything from various outlets. And overall, I have to say, excuse me, it wasn't good. It wasn't good, man. I don't know if I liked the. Well, I'll be honest, I don't like the name Xbox One. I find myself when I was talking about the original Xbox, a lot of times I would say, oh, no, not the 360, the Xbox One, the first, the first one. That's what I would always say to myself. So I
Hmm.
find it hard to believe they would name this Xbox One. What do you think of that name?
Yeah, it's a pretty awful name. Like, I understand what they're doing with it, but I understand why it's called the One. I just think it's a bad idea because, like you said, I refer to the original Xbox as the Xbox One pretty often, and I think
Yeah.
now like people are going to be making that mistake in the sense that like what if I say Xbox One, which Xbox am I talking about? Do you even know? Because
Yeah.
now I mean you'll have to assume it's the new one, but maybe I didn't intend that. But it's just a bad name overall. And another problem I noticed almost immediately was that the you have two optionings for shortening it, and one was like seems to be everyone is calling it the X Bone, and
Yeah.
which is already bad. And then the other one is
Yeah.
the X1, and I think like X1, I think that's the name of Pee Wee Herman's bike in the Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Neither of those options are good.
Yeah, chronologically, it doesn't work. Like you said, I get why they're calling it this. Like it brings everything into one box. Your all your viewing needs. But at the same time, chronologically, it just doesn't make sense. The 720. That's how I referred to the new console, like pre all of this announcement. And I think the 720 would have been fine. I even liked the Xbox Infinity. I thought that
Yeah,
was like,
Xbox Infinity would have been good.
yeah, um, anything but Xbox One. I don't like it. I don't. And the actual,
it,
what do you think of the actual design of the console?
well, it's a box. It looks like a PC turned on its side, which essentially it is. But like that's what it looks like. I mean, it doesn't even like it's not even trying to hide that fact. Like at least with the 360, like they tried to make it a little smooth and designed like a kind of bow or whatever.
Yeah,
With the new one, there it's just a square.
yeah,
It's literally a PC tower turned on its side.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I do like the black and silver. Those are some of my favorite colors. I think it's a good color scheme. But Yeah, like you said, it's a box. Basically just a box. And I don't know, man. I mean, I wanted to with these new consoles, like we haven't seen the PlayStation 4 yet, obviously, but I wanted to see some like really futuristic, stylish looking, consoles. And going from the Xbox One, that's definitely not gonna be. I wanted to see something really cool. I always wanted to see. I mean, the name of the system is Xbox, so I wanted to see. I don't know. It was always my dream to see like an X incorporated into the design of the console somehow. And there was like some mock-ups and early design drawings of like the first Xbox being done like that. And it's got the X on it, but with like the grill parts on the side. But it's just not futuristic enough looking. I wanted to see something really cool, and it's just a box.
Yeah,
It's just disappointing.
it looks like a VCR basically. I mean, a lot of people are saying that online, but it's so true. It really does look like a VCR.
Yeah, you know, and I get all of this negativity and all of the in the talk about the used game nonsense and the always online and back and forth. Yes, you do have to be online. No, you don't. Connect's got to be there all the time, and that's a whole other thing right there. But I think back to past generations. Do you remember when a new console launch was exciting?
Yeah, I mean,
What happened to that? Like everybody's an analyst nowadays, man. And
yeah, that's the kind of thing where like it's just right now you have like the internet set up in a way that like everybody gets together on a message board and then picks their opinions from what everybody else says basically. I mean, you see a lot of people on YouTube, for example, who make videos of their impressions, and it's just like they have a list of complaints that are, they're referencing message boards and stuff on like IGN or whatever, or comments under articles or whatever. It's like that's okay. It's not
yeah,
your own opinion, though. I mean, you might agree with that opinion, but it's not something you formed yourself. And
yeah,
from everything, there are good points to the new Xbox. I mean, there were points that I thought were really cool, but there were so many more points that I thought were awful, or like just things that were I would never use or have entirely no use for.
yeah, yeah. What are some of the things that you find just like downright awful, like just horrible that you would have never even considered had that been your
Oh,
baby? What
okay.
would you?
Almost any of that football related stuff was totally useless for me. I mean, it's useless in the sense
Mhm.
that like it might be cool if you like football or live in the U.S. Though neither of those
Mhm.
things apply to me, and so they're like things that I couldn't even use, even if I wanted to.
Yeah,
And then like almost all of the TV related stuff they were showing
yeah.
is all stuff that I can't use. It's all stuff it's very US specific. Anybody outside of the US can't use that probably.
And that brings the question. They haven't really have they said? I mean, obviously it's going to have to come out in Japan, I would assume. You know, but have they announced anything for Japan? Like
Not that I know of. I I guess they've pretty much written it off Japan for
yeah,
I
like
mean their announcements all that entire presentation was like the reaction in Japan was like, well, I guess they've given up on Japan.
yeah, and I guess like I know the Xbox 360 never really caught on in Japan. I mean that's a safe assumption. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I mean, it's not good. But they sold more than a million units. That's not it seems like a small amount, but the PS3 hasn't sold like hundreds of millions or anything. It hasn't sold like even 10 million, I don't think, in Japan.
Wow. So is Japan? There was a time where, if the system wasn't doing good in Japan and the games weren't coming from Japan, like the system was in trouble. Remember that time? Like if,
Yeah, well, that was like, you know, back when I want to say even like PS1 era, pretty much that
yeah,
was it.
my how that's changed. Now, honestly, do you think that they're just going to ignore Japan altogether and just concentrate on, like America and Europe? And I mean, do you think that's what's going to happen, or do you think they're going to have to eventually come out and say something about their Japanese strategy?
I think I wouldn't say they're gonna give up on Japan, but I'm sure they'll. I'm sure they're going to release the Xbox One in Japan, but I'm sure they're not going to put as much effort into it as they did for the 360.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, a lot of the problems you brought up is the same thing with me. To me, what I got from that initial, and to be fair, like E3 hasn't happened yet. I think at E3 is where we're going to see what they've got for games, and I can't officially rule out the Xbox One and call it shit and, dog on it too bad until I see what they've got planned for E3.
I
Um,
agree. I think the E3 is where we're going to actually see what it is related to games. I
yeah,
mean, what they showed now was like a horrible, lowest common denominator. Anybody who would possibly want to buy it, they were showing things that might be good for them,
yeah,
not for like the main thing, which is games.
yeah, yeah,
And the problem with it is that it made people think that the main thing is not games.
yeah. That was the biggest problem. It really was, and it made you think that this is the thing you have to have to like watch TV, like a supplemental thing to cable where you can just talk and it'll do and apps and just like casual crazy. You know what I mean? That's what it came across like to me. And I've been operating just fine watching TV without that thing. I'm sure I'll get along without it. So. But like I said, I'm not going to judge it too heavily until we get to E3. I mean, to be fair, we don't know what the PlayStation 4 looks like at all, and
Yeah.
they were vague on a lot of stuff with the PlayStation 4 as well in terms of, used games and accounts tied to games that were purchased and, things of that nature. We don't really know yet with that either, so it's still up in the air for a lot of things.
Yeah, it's true. We don't actually know anything about what Sony's plans are. They've been pretty vague. They've said like, I mean, they've come out and said the PS4 will play used games, but so is Microsoft.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but they haven't said that like the PS4 will play used games unconditionally as it does on the PS3.
Yeah.
They haven't said that.
Yeah.
And Microsoft has basically said that you can't play used games unless you're buying something like paying some type of fee or doing some kind of license transfer or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, to be honest, like the whole used game thing, I don't really have any I don't really I'll be honest, I don't really buy used games when it comes to current generations. And with the way prices drop that fast, I don't really see I really I'll admit I get what people I know a lot of people buy used games and I know it's like a big deal and you can get good deals and things like that. The thing that will piss me off is okay, if I have an Xbox One and my kid does and he's got his in his room and I've got mine, in my game room and I buy a game and oh hey dad, let me play that game. Like you're telling me I've got to pay to let him play my game to unlock the that I'll have a problem with that. That's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's my main issue with the way the used game thing as we know it now is. So this might change. Who knows what because of the huge negative backlash, Microsoft might change this entirely. But right now, it's the kind of thing where I don't really care. I'm like you. I don't really buy a lot of used games unless it's something like that came out a while back and I just can't find a new copy. I'll
Yeah.
just buy a used copy. There are things that just they don't print anymore. So I buy those things used because
Yeah.
it's the only option. But what gets me is that first the used game. The thing that they said was that there would be a used game price, and one of the execs at Microsoft was asked this, and he said, if you wanted to bring the game to your friend's house, or you buy a used copy from your friend bought it and played it and was finished and sent it to you, you would have to pay a fee. But the fee is not like a $10 pass to use online like EA was doing. It's the full game price, meaning you're
Wow.
paying for it again. And they said that the problem with this is that when the system goes off to buy these passes, you can't buy the game anymore. I mean, you can't use the game anymore. You can't even send it to a friend to use. It's done. It means like the whole console generation is confined to the one console generation. It's not like, you you can go out and buy Sega CD games or a Sega Saturn game right now
Yeah.
and still use it. You know, 10 years after the console generation is over, you won't be able to do that with the Xbox One because all of that online stuff that you need will no longer be functioning.
Yeah, that's a really scary thought there, man. That really is because basically what you're saying is, you know, 5 years from now, we'll be able to fire up the PlayStation, PlayStation 3. We'll be able to fire up, the 360 and go back and play games.
Exactly.
And with this new generation, it, man, that's a scary thought there.
When the generation is over and the console is no longer supported, you won't be able to play your games unless they do something that prevents that. And the thing is not even that. It's even if you like, okay, they put in a system where like if you bought the game, you can use it whatever without after the system is over without connecting online. Okay, great. What if I want to buy an old game that I didn't get a chance to play, but now I have some need to play it?
Yeah, how are you going to unlock that?
You can't. That's the. There's no way.
See,
So
they've got to do something, man. Like in a perfect world, I hope that Sony, came out first. They announced what little announcement they made, and they knew that Xbox was going to announce their stuff. I'm hoping that Sony revealed very little. I hope that Sony watched this Microsoft conference and is listening to what the hell people are bitching about. I really hope that Sony sat back and watched all this negativity blow up in the Xbox One's face, and I hope they're going to really think about when they come out of E3 what route they're going to take. You know,
well, it would be like the death blow if they decided to come back. They came out and said, we're not gonna charge you anything for used games. It's gonna be the same as the system as it was on the PS3. If
yeah.
they said that, I mean, it might not be like super popular with developers, but developers would have to make games for it because that's the system everybody would buy.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Talking like that, I was all for like I know that I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 4. That's already a given. But hearing that kind of, the point that you brought up, like, what happens when this generation's over? If Sony does stick to, I don't know that I'd buy either one, to be honest with you. If I know that for a fact that when this generation's done, all those games are useless. I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the kind of thing where like not only that, if they're tied to an account,
mhm.
it makes it so much worse. What if for some reason your account got banned? What if someone hacked your account and like sent messages to people like harassing messages and they banned your account? You lost all your games, even the ones you have physical copies of. You can't play those anymore.
Oh man, this is making me depressed because this is our hobby, man, and this is the newest form. This is all these changes, whether we like it or not, are coming. And
Yeah, but
it's
like, I think like people don't think about that much, but like seriously, if your games, even your physical ones, are tied to your account and they ban your account, you can't use your physical games anymore. That's like if you were like smack talking people like back in the day, like Nintendo showed up at your house and broke your NES cards. That's like
yeah,
yeah, it, it's that kind of thing.
yeah,
It's ridiculous.
it is, man, and hopefully somebody sees that. I mean, they've got to know that these questions are out there, and this is what we're wondering. And I mean,
And also, I think with stuff like this generation, people are looking at it, and then they're looking at the new ones, and they're saying, "Well, if these things aren't going to let us play used games, we'll just go to PC gaming. We can, get stuff on Steam, and we'll be fine." But essentially, all of the problems I just said are problems with Steam. Those are all things that Steam does. Steam has your games tied to an account. If your account gets banned, you lose all your games. Is Steam going to be supporting games in 20 years that you bought 20 years ago? The answer to that is probably no. Is Steam even going to be a company in 20 years? Who knows? None of those games you have are yours. They're all essentially long-term rentals. If you have something like Good Old Games, which is a different digital distribution of games, they're really good actually because you can download the installer from them and just burn it to everything is DRM free, so you can just burn that to a disk as many times as you want, and if you lose your computer or whatever, you can just reinstall or re-download from good old games, and even if they go away, you still have all those copies you made on disk. So those games are like yours.
God, man, this just makes me want to go into my game room and like hug all my Saturn games, my Genesis games, my Sega CD games, because this is really freaking me out, man. I don't even want to think about not owning my games when I do. You know what I mean? It's such a horrible way of doing things. It's just a shame that this is even being considered for this generation of consoles. It's horrible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is like what the things we're talking about right now are like worst case scenario.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
there could be ways around this. I mean, it could be a thing where like, okay, you need to verify the game in some way. Like with CD keys they had back in the day. Like,
Yeah,
okay, that and maybe they could have specific keys for specific CDs or whatever, and I mean, that could be fine. At least it would allow you to, send the game out to your friend and not copy it.
yeah,
But the thing is like, the use game system could be something different. It could be like, okay, if I want to let you play the game, I can, I'm finished with it. I just want to give you the disc. Maybe I can give you the disc and send you a code or something. And once you accept it, I can't play it on my system anymore, but you can play it on yours, and it's free.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe that kind of thing. It's not great, but and it doesn't like get rid of all the problems, but it gets rid of some of the major problems in that, like, I can't even like bring the game over to my friend's house and play it. That's like, that's taking away things I could do in previous generations. That's like lessening my consumer rights. That's not
yeah.
cool.
And all this is making the Wii U look that much more appealing to me, to be honest. I mean, sure, I haven't bought a Wii U yet, and I hadn't really planned on it anytime in the future until I see some games that interest me. But at least I know going forward that this system's already finalized, and I don't have to worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I recently I've been thinking, man, that Wii U is sure looking good now.
Yeah, it really is. Um, it's like we said, this is we're looking at the worst case scenario, but I mean at the same time, we're not making any of this stuff up. This is all it could be happening.
Yeah, the
Um,
problem is like we're looking at the worst case scenario because we have no other option. We have to because none of the clarifications that Microsoft or Sony have given on their policies for this kind of thing has been clear enough that anybody can actually judge what is actually going to happen. And maybe those things aren't even decided yet, and that's why it's so vague. But
yeah,
you know, as of right now, it does look pretty. It does scare me.
yeah, it definitely is, and all that aside, I've heard a lot of people say that the PlayStation 4 is going to be like the new PlayStation 2, and granted, the main problem with the PS3 was it was really hard to develop for. And the PlayStation 4, I guess developers are saying it's super easy to develop for. They're really embracing the indie developer, and lots of exclusives are coming. And this is where Microsoft, for me, is in a lot of trouble because I was all for the original Xbox One, the original Xbox. I liked it a lot. There was a lot of great exclusives, great support from Sega. And when the 360 first started out, I was in love with the system. I mean, I got Cameo as my first game, and I loved Cameo. That was an awesome launch game, a game from Rare. And I had Condemned, that was also a launch game on that Christmas morning, and I was super impressed. And then like the Mistwalker RPG started coming, and I was playing games like Lost Planet, which was exclusive at first, Saints Row, Dead Rising. These were all exclusive, and just tons of awesome brand new games. And it seems like after the third year, Microsoft just said, "Oh, okay, we're pulling ahead. Uh, fuck exclusives. We don't need them anymore. We're gonna have the so-called best multiplats, and we're gonna have DLC faster." And then the exclusives just started disappearing.
Yeah, that's like it was kind of a shift in policy over at Microsoft. They decided like instead of doing a lot of exclusives and paying a ton of money to studios to to make exclusive games. They were just going to pay them less money to make maybe exclusive DLC or small exclusive parts in DLC, or maybe just give their DLC a month earlier or whatever. And that would seem to be their main strategy after a while, maybe third or fourth year, as you're saying.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's kind of a shame because, you know, as far as exclusives go, as far as major exclusives go, I would say the Xbox and the PS3 are pretty on par with each other. I mean, I'm thinking like AAA exclusives here, like the PS3 has Uncharted, the Xbox has Gears of War or something, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except when you look at total exclusives, Xbox has a lot of exclusives that suck. There's tons of like Connect games and stuff that are exclusive because it's on
Yeah.
Connect that are like nobody wants to play. And I'm not even
Yeah.
saying that because I hate Connect. I actually like Connect. I have a lot of games on Connect that I like, but there are a lot of shitty games on there.
Yeah.
And then when you look at smaller games that are exclusive on the PS3, there's tons of like Japanese developers that just develop things only for the PS3 because it's what's popular in Japan. So
Yeah.
there's tons of small games, like there's Disgaea games on the PS3. There's none of that on the Xbox.
No. Like all of those NIS games, man, are only on PS3. Like you said, the Disgaea games. There's that new Time and Eternity coming out. There's a lot of those games, granted, weren't well received, like The Last Rebellion and Cross Edge and a lot of those kind of games, but they're still exclusive nonetheless. In my mind, Gears, the Xbox 360 has left off with Gears, Forza, and Halo, and I guess Alan Wake. But the days of like Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, freaking Magna Carta 2, those early exclusives that I loved so much on that system, it's just not the same anymore. And that's why I kind of drifted to the PlayStation 3 mid-generation because, I love the Ratchet and Clank games. I love Infamous. I love Sly Cooper. I love, games like Journey, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Like, I love all the PlayStation characters, and it just seemed like Sony was offering a lot more exclusives than the Xbox was. And I'm not saying exclusives are everything. They're nice to have, and it's nice to have, multi-platform as well. But it just seems like from where Microsoft and this new Xbox is picking up from, they've only left themselves with a handful of exclusive properties to start with. And I've heard them saying that they're going to bring back like a lot of exclusives. Rare is going to be making games again for them instead of just fucking avatar outfits, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I think like, they said they're going to have 15 exclusive games at launch or whatever. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that's promising. I think a
definitely.
lot of the thing with this is that, Microsoft might have a good game strategy, except they didn't show any. Like
Yeah.
the only real game that they showed for the Xbox One was Quantum Break by Remedy.
Yeah, and that was like some live action mixed with gameplay, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it wasn't like gameplay really. I mean, they were just it was like a teaser trailer for the game. And I would buy it. Remedy makes good games. I liked Alan Wake.
They do make good games. You're right. They
So
do.
I mean, I'm not down on that game. It looks good. But,
Yeah.
it was like the only thing they showed besides Call of Duty. And,
Yeah.
that it was the same complaint I had with the PS4 announcement was that the PS4 announcement actually did show a lot of games, except nearly all of them are going to be cross-platform. There's no benefit to showing Call of Duty at the Xbox event because, that's definitely going to be on the PS3, PS4 also.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where they'll bank on having exclusive DLC or timed exclusive DLC, and that's just not good enough for me. I I've had it with shooters, to be honest with you. I don't play the only first person shooters I'll play is stuff like BioShock or games that take a different approach. I can't take anymore Call of Duty military shooter style games. Um, So I think that I don't think I just hope Microsoft gets back into what the 360 was when it in its first couple of years, which is a nice broad variety of games, and that 15 exclusive announcement and having Rare actually make games again is definitely promising because I'll admit the last year or so I haven't really used my Xbox 360 an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm kind
You
of
know,
with you there. I haven't been using my Xbox as much as I mean I've been using my PS4, my PS3 more than my Xbox, and it's
definitely.
only because there's more games coming out that are worth playing on the PS3 than on the Xbox, and that's like I'm with you because I would have said I don't really have like a strong preference. Like I use the Xbox 360 as my like game console for multi platforms only because more people I know have a 360.
You know,
But if it came down to it, I'd probably use the PS. Right now, if somebody said which system should I buy, Xbox 360 or PS3? Well, I mean, it's kind of at this point PS3.
PS3 all the way. When you look at it like that, okay, the 360, I don't think there's one more game that I want for that system. You look at the PlayStation 3, I just finished playing Nino Kuni not too long ago. Tales of Exilia, which is probably my most anticipated game in quite some time, is coming soon. We've got The Last of Us, highly anticipating that. We've got Beyond Two Souls, and that's just like, 4 or 5 games right there that not just, oh, they're coming out, that's cool. I'm like super excited for these games. Exilia, my Tales is one of my favorite RPG series of all time. It's a exclusive game coming there. Makers of Naughty Dog, or makers of Uncharted, Jack and Dexter have an awesome new game coming out. These are big games, and this is, what, 6 years into the life of the system, 7 years. Microsoft has got nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't think of any exclusive games on the 360 that I want to buy. I can't think of any.
No, I can't. I mean, the only other big exclusive they have that we didn't mention was Crackdown, and the second one sucked in my opinion. First one was pretty good. There's also that I don't know if it's still coming out or what the hell's going on with The Last Guardian on the PlayStation 3. And there's also that Rockstar game that I just read an article not too long ago that is still coming out, Agent, which is like a big open world Rockstar game. I mean, we haven't heard a thing on that, but they say it's still coming.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I really, and speaking on that, they've got to reveal The Last Guardian at E3. I pray to God they do. If they don't, I'm afraid to say that that game's no more. Or it's either, I don't know what to say after that if they don't reveal it at E3.
yeah. If they don't show anything on that, like it's almost like hoping for a lost cause. That thing is like, when did they first announce that? Like when the at the PS3 launch or like shortly
Yeah, I
after?
remember. Yeah, I remember seeing that. What was it? That it almost looked like a sewer drain in that chain with some foliage around it. Some plants or whatever, and that was like the announcement shot. And you look back, they did 2 games during the PlayStation 2's life. This has been 6, 7 years, and not one game from Team Eco. Not one game. We need the last guy. That's another one that I'm like, I was talking about. Exilia. I'm super hyped for The Last of Us. I'm super hyped for Beyond Two Souls. I loved Heavy Rain. This Last Guardian is right up there with like not just, oh, a great, it's an exclusive coming. I'm like super pumped for these games. So I hope we see something.
Yeah, I'm not even like really excited for any of those games. I mean, Last Guardian, I'd be excited for, but I at this point, I don't think it's gonna come out. Uh,
Yeah,
it might. They might surprise me, but you know, it's been. When is the last time you heard news on it?
it's been forever.
It's the kind
The,
of thing
the,
where like all of their news is like just someone saying, "Yeah, we're still working on it. We're not going to show you anything though, and we're not going to announce anything."
Now you're not a fan of the Tales games?
Um, that game has been out here for like 2 years
Oh, that's
or
right.
3 years, I
Why do I
think.
keep
I'm
why
not.
do I keep why do I keep thinking that yeah, it's old hat for you? Never mind.
Yeah, that Tales of Exilia came out. I mean, there's already Tales of Exilia 2 that came
Yeah,
out last year. So
yeah, yeah. Um, what was the other one I said? Beyond Two Souls. Did you enjoy Heavy
you
Rain?
know, I I played Heavy Rain with the Move. It was a lot of fun. But
Oh, okay.
if you have you tried it with the Move?
I beat it with the standard controller, and then I remember sometime after that they patched it with move support, and I downloaded the patch, and I think I tried out a few scenarios with it, and that was it. I haven't gone back. If I do go back and play through it again, it will be with the move.
I first started playing it with the controller. Like the when I started playing it, actually, I started playing it like maybe a day before that patch came out. So the next time I signed into the game, like the patch came, so
Uh-huh.
I started using the Move with it, and it's a lot of fun with the Move. I really enjoyed using the Move on that game, except I didn't really enjoy the game overall. Like it was fun to play, but I don't think I liked the story or the characters or like it just it was like playing a bad movie.
Those games definitely aren't for everyone. I mean, their previous work, Indigo Prophecy, it really split like 50-50. Some people loved it, some people hated it. There wasn't really like a middle ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like with Heavy Rain, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun. I liked playing it. It's just, I didn't understand what everyone was so excited about. I just thought like, okay, it's kind of like playing a. It's I want to say it's like playing a modern updated version of an FMV game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of FMV games I like, but it's not. It wasn't like something amazing.
Hmm. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. It's like basically the trial and error aspect of it. There's not like a lot of free form um, gameplay to it. But I totally bought into. I loved it. You know, it's been a while since I've played it. Maybe a year and a half now. But I remember liking it quite a bit, and I got a few endings, and it was just for me. It was just powerful. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. But
Yeah, I mean, it had some good points. So Beyond Two Souls, I probably won't even buy it actually,
no.
unless like I read some reviews and they sit and like it sounds interesting. Like if it plays the same way as Heavy Rain or whatever, I wouldn't mind playing it because I had fun using the Move.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in all honesty, like if it comes out and people are saying like it's like Heavy Rain exactly, then I probably won't buy it.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I'm probably not gonna buy The Last of Us either because I'm not really a fan of Uncharted or Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
So it's I mean again that I might be swayed on that one too, but it's not likely. I didn't really enjoy Uncharted,
Hmm.
and if it's gonna be like that, if I read reviews and they're saying it's kind of like Uncharted, I, that's gonna be it's gonna be a red flag for me, and I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's going to be cinematic in like the equivalent of like a blockbuster action movie kind of way. I'm sure it'll be like that, but I think they're going for something a little more deep than Uncharted. You know what I mean? I think that I'm really excited for it. I know it's going to be like cutting edge graphically, um, and I think that the relationship between the two characters is going to be pretty strongly. It's like a good dynamic between the two characters. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to wait and see on that. I'm
yeah,
not excited about it at all. So it's the kind of
yeah,
thing where like I don't know if a lot of people are telling me that they think I'll like it or whatever, then I'll probably download it or not
yeah.
download it but buy it. But
It'll be interesting to see if it's like a huge game. If it's like a huge game, if we get The Last of Us, then The Last of Us really this time, The Last of Us Part Three. If they try to milk it into some big thing, like Naughty Dog tends to do. But um, I'm still pretty excited for it. Now, did you play the newest Sly Cooper game? Did you play that or any of the earlier Sly
I
games?
don't think I've ever played a Sly Cooper game.
Okay. What do you think of like, like 3D platformers in general?
I
Do you
am
like them?
not a big fan of 3D platformers. In all
Okay.
honesty, I can hardly think of any that I like. Um,
Ratchet and Clank?
Not really a fan.
No.
That Alice Madness Returns game was fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that was a good game. The art direction was fantastic in that game.
I'm trying to think of 3D platformers that I like.
Is it like the whole like furry critter type thing that just turns you off?
Yeah, I don't like that, but that's not generally. That kind of thing won't stop me from playing the game if the game is fun. I
Hmm.
mean, it's the kind of thing like my feeling with anime-looking games. I don't really like those kind of cutesy anime style games, like the art style. But if the
Yeah.
game is fun, I'll play it anyway. But so it's the same kind of thing with like furries or whatever they are. I don't know like what
Yeah.
you would call those things, but I'm not a huge fan of that kind of style of stuff either. But if the game is fun, I'll play it anyway. It's just the kind of thing where I don't really. I'm trying to think of some that I liked. Enslaved was all right.
Okay.
Um, would you consider Devil May Cry 3D platformer? I mean, it kind of is.
Um, I guess kind of. I don't know. I'd consider that more of like an action combat game with like m mild platforming elements. But the new one with like the jumping and like the hovering, I guess it would be. I guess it would be considered a semi-platformer. Like platforming elements.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that, but again, like you're saying, it's not like truly a platformer in the sense that like it is kind of like combat game with mild platforming sections.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is Assassin's Creed a kind of a platformer?
Yeah, I would say so, definitely.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I would say that it's like a platforming elements.
Yeah, strong element of platforming and climbing and such. No, Assassin's Creed. You know that Black Flag?
Yeah,
You know, have you seen the special editions they've announced for that?
I have
There's like the
not.
there's like the Black Chest edition and like some other, but there's ones with like statues with like it shows like the ship and like the Conway's like swinging down from the mast or whatever. And I'm really confused about the special editions on that because one of them says you have to pre-order it off of like the Ubisoft Uplay website or and then GameStop doesn't have anything on them, just like regular editions. And I really got to do some research because I really want that statue for the collection, the Assassin's Creed shrine I have going on, and
Yeah,
it's kind of
I was gonna say, you should just not buy the Assassin's Creed special edition. Then I thought, oh wait, this is Josh. He has to buy the Assassin's Creed
I,
special edition.
I don't, dude. That series to me is freaking. It like when I hear somebody bad mouthing it, it pisses me off, dude. I don't know what it is because the thing is like I know why because they've come out with so many. It gets lumped into like, oh god, this new generation just give us Assassin's Creed and Call of Duties and blah blah blah, and that pisses me off, dude. Because each of these games are something fresh and new, man. It's like an overall arcing story that is freaking expertly woven in, dude. And I mean, you're playing a freaking assassin, jumping over the rooftops and climbing up and just being a total badass, dude. And I just freaking love those games. I'm very passionate about that series, man, and I hate when people lump it into,
You know
you
what I want to
know,
say about Assassin's Creed?
mm,
That I really enjoy Assassin's Creed, and the thing with Assassin's Creed was that they Ubisoft does it to themselves because when you look at Assassin's Creed, it looks
yeah,
like it's going to be the same game, but
yeah,
when you play it, you realize like, oh, this is kind of awesome. It's totally different. Like when
yeah,
Assassin's Creed 2, there was Assassin's Creed 2 and it's like totally awesome compared to Assassin's Creed 1.
yeah,
And then like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood came out and you're like, this looks like an expansion pack. When you
yeah,
see it, I mean when you see it, not when you play it. But
yeah,
then when you play it, it's like it totally changes the story, and there's like a new all these new functions you can do, all these new actions, all this new stuff you can do in the game. It's like
yeah.
it's totally cool. So
It is
when I wasn't really excited for Assassin's Creed like Brotherhood or what is the other one that came out?
Revelations.
Revelations. Um, Brotherhood was it was like a total step up. And I was like totally one of the naysayers who were like that the online is going to be stupid. And then like I started playing it online with some friends, and it was a lot of fun, like surprisingly fun. Like
Yeah, breath of fresh air, man. It's something totally different that hasn't been done, and people can't seem to get past that. Like just by looking at it and saying, "Oh, another Assassin's Creed." And I'll admit, I mean, that's for a series to start on this generation and have that many games pumped out in such a small amount of time. It's easy to, if you haven't played them, to sit back and run your mouth, and say, "Oh God, this is being milked to death." But every entry is substantial, man. And the third one got shit on quite a bit. That game is freaking awesome too, man. And
I
like
still
Black
haven't
Flag,
played. I still haven't played the third one.
it's an amazing
I'm
game.
gonna get it. I'm gonna eventually play it because I do like Assassin's Creed. But what happened was I played I played Revelations like almost right before Assassin's Creed 3 came out.
Uh-huh.
So right when I had just finished it, and I was like, man, I don't want to play more Assassin's Creed right now. So I've just been waiting to get into the kind of Assassin's Creed mood again.
Yeah, definitely. It's understandable, and with this Black Flag, they've said that the naval combat and ship elements were kind of a testing ground in the third one, and this Black Flag is going to take that and just run with it. And you've got a ship in this game, and it's an open world. You can go to anywhere in the Caribbean, dock your ship and jump out and swim to shore if you want.
Have
Any
you
island.
played Sid Meier's Pirates or Sid Meier? I think.
Yeah, I have played that. I
It,
have played that.
I hope it's like that because I really like that game.
Yeah, with the sim elements, it would be awesome. I'm really looking forward to Black Flag, man. I think it's a fresh, unique setting, and it's going to be awesome.
It'll probably be awesome. I'm not gonna. I won't naysay it because I haven't played 3, so I haven't tried out any of the boat sections. But everyone who reviewed it was raving about those, just saying how good they were.
Yeah, really enjoyable stuff for
So
sure.
I'm hopeful for that. I also want to get the one on the Vita, which I haven't gotten around to yet either.
Yeah, that one, I'll be honest with that one, I had really high hopes for it, but I was really disappointed with that, man. I mean, it's kind of a fresh setting with like the New Orleans stuff, and it's the female lead is cool, and it's cool like having different outfits you can put on for different situations. But I think it's the missions and the way they're set up in that game that really kind of piss me off. It's hard to put my finger on what exactly it is I don't like about it, but I don't. It's nowhere near the other games in the series. It's impressive on a handheld, and I don't want to sound like I'm being too rough on it, but I just did not like it as much as the other ones at all,
Hmm.
which is sad. It's sad, but like the escort missions and timed missions and not being seen, or the mission stops and makes you redo it if you get seen. It just, a lot of stuff just breaks the flow of the game, and it kind of takes away from the free form way in which you're able to approach missions in the other games. But I mean, it's still like technically it's really impressive on the system, and it's still definitely worth getting. But my expectations for the games are sky high, so I'm probably more rough of a judge than I should be. It's still a really good game,
Yeah,
but
I'll get that eventually too. It's just I've been waiting on those because I'm just not in the mood to play them at the moment. It's the same thing actually. Like I haven't played. There's a lot of games that I haven't played yet that were like really big. Like I didn't play Batman Arkham City yet. Um,
okay.
and it's not because I don't want to. I actually really liked Arkham Asylum. I played through it twice. Um, but Arkham City, I'm really excited to play it. I just haven't been in the mood. I've been in like a totally different kind of mood, so I haven't gotten
Yeah,
around
that's
to it.
that's another great game where, if you look at it, it's like more of the same, but with just expanded features. But another excellent game. And how did you feel about the announcement of the Arkham City Origins?
I haven't been like keeping way up with it, but I don't know. It seems fine. It
Yeah.
it's if it's gonna be based on year 2, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, the comic itself is pretty dark. So year 1 especially is dark, but year 2 should be dark enough that it'll fit into the series. I doubt it's not gonna be like all golden age, and not like silver age Batman, is it?
No, no, it's not at all. It's from what I've read, man, it's going to be a lot in the same vein as the games that are right now. I think a different team is doing it,
Yeah.
but like Rocksteady's like supervising it or whatever, or watching over it. And I haven't read too much on it. I kind of want it to be a surprise, because I will be getting it. I'm a huge fan of the games, but I just it kind of makes me nervous that the original team's not doing it. But I get that because they're probably working on something for the new generation systems.
Yeah, I mean, there's
So
not. It could be fine, even if it's not the original team. Some games have turned out okay, even though it's not the
yeah,
originals.
that's true. That's true.
S-
But what have you been playing lately, man?
let's see. Lately, well, this month I played like a ton of RPGs. I do you know Class of Heroes on
Yeah,
the
for the
PSP?
PSP.
Yeah. So I've had that. I started playing it a long time ago, and then I stopped playing it for some reason, and I never finished it. So I went back and started a new game in that, and beat that. And then in that game, um, have you played it?
I played that briefly. I have it. I popped it in and I haven't played too much of it.
See, Class of Heroes is like it's like a wizardry clone, but it's an exceedingly mediocre wizardry clone. Like, I would rate it if I had to rate it like a number rating. I'd probably give it like a 6 or like maybe a 7. It's not even probably a 6 is probably right around where it should be. It's like exceedingly mediocre,
Hmm.
and like it's it has some problems like balance problems and that like you can blow through the game. Like I beat the game and my party was like level 17.
Oh wow.
So I mean, not that's not incredibly low level or anything, but I mean, not for a wizardry game, it's not. But it's not. I didn't have to like really do anything to do that. I just kind of blew through it. I just went through every place and upgraded my weapons, and then went through and beat the boss. All you had to do is form a good strategy, and you win. And it was kind of easy. I thought like it's too easy. And but what I did was, there are a ton of games in that series. So, I mean, not in the U.S., but in Japan, there's like five titles in the series. So I went and
Okay.
got Class of Heroes 4, which is the last one that's a first-person dungeon crawler, and I played that. And that game is a lot better. It's like 100 times better than the first one. It's got 40 character classes, maybe,
Oh wow.
and your characters can be dual classed, so you can have like two classes on each character from the
Hmm.
beginning. And then
Okay.
like you have the dungeons are different. It's not like that same kind of like Class of Heroes 1 had this thing where you have to run through and unlock doors and stuff in every dungeon. Every single one was the same kind of goal. Whereas in this one, the dungeons are all separate and they're not randomly generated, and they're, put together in a way that it's interesting. And you have like a bit of a challenge, and the leveling system is different, and the skills are different. It's really like a lot more challenging and a lot more fun.
Now is that on the PSP as well,
Yeah,
or?
it's also on the PSP.
Okay, now there's one that's like on Kickstarter, or was it on Kickstarter,
Oh
or
yeah,
is it?
for the special edition to come out.
Yeah, like that's like Gaijin Works, which is Victor Ireland from Working Designs. Is
Yeah,
that so? He's pushing. Is that going to be made for sure? Then Class of Heroes 2 that's coming out in the U.S. as well. Is
yeah.
that?
I guess they had pre-orders for that for a physical copy on the website on their website, but that I guess that's closed now. The pre-orders,
Okay.
and they're not coming out with a physical copy. It's not going to be sold in stores. It's
Okay.
only going to be online, except for that one like special editions you had a pre-order from their site.
Okay. Yeah, like if that would have been any other game than a first-person dungeon crawl, I'd be like all over it. But that's the one genre of RPG that I'm not really huge into, you know?
Yeah, it's
I,
understandable. I think like I'm really into them because they're the first kind of RPGs that I played. I mean,
Okay.
it's just the first kind of RPG that I played, so I just kind of expect RPGs to be that way when I play them.
Right.
It scratches a certain kind of nostalgic itch for me.
Yeah, definitely. I am playing Etrian Odyssey 4, which is like the first. And to be honest, I'm also playing Soul Hackers, which are both like first-person dungeon crawls, and I'm really enjoying both of those. So, maybe I can go back to Clash of Heroes with like a better appreciation for. I mean, would you consider Clash of Heroes like in the same league as either one of those games, or
No,
is it?
no, no.
No.
It's not even close. Those games
Okay.
are real. Like Soul Hackers, that Soul Hackers and Etrian Odyssey are really high quality for first-person dungeon crawlers. I mean, Soul Hackers is a little less because it's older,
Right.
but it's not to say that it's bad because it's old. It's bad. It's not bad at all. It's just that it's less refined than Etrian Odyssey is because there's been like 15 years of time in between.
Right.
But the thing is that those games are really high quality. And then when you look at what's it called, the Class of Heroes, it's kind of disappointing in that like there's no real. I mean, there is a story, but it's not like incredibly interesting. And a lot
Yeah.
of the mechanics are really not so fun, or they're
Yeah.
fun for a little bit, and then you just have to do them a million times, and it becomes not fun.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the problems with Class of Heroes, the first one. The fourth
Yeah.
one was
That's
really good though, so I'll probably go back actually and get the third one, and maybe I'll try out the fifth one, even though it's third person.
Man, I can't believe how many of those have come out in Japan. That must be like a popular series, obviously, then in Japan.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
popular. Um, the fifth one is actually third person. It reminds me of. Have you seen Seventh Dragon 2020?
No.
It's like that's like a role playing game. It also like it's a futuristic kind of like cyberpunkish role playing game where you fight dragons in Tokyo in the future.
Oh, no shit. No, I've never even heard of it,
But
dude.
Hatsune Miku is in it. It's made by Sega actually, so you should be on top of that, Josh.
Dude, when it comes to that, man, I have no idea, man. Like my import knowledge when it comes to that is nil, dude. But with the Clash of Heroes, though, dude, like, okay, you said the fifth one. Is that like approaching the greatness of the other one, like the Etrian Odysseys or you know what I mean? Is
Um,
it
the fifth one I haven't tried that one because it's third person. I didn't want to jump into that one right away. But the fourth
okay?
one, the one that I played this month, was all right, not so bad. I wouldn't say it's as good as Etrian Odyssey is, but it's still pretty high up there. It's much better than the first one. So
Okay.
it's never going to come out in the U.S.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the second one is coming out in the U.S. soon. You know what I mean? Like after many years. So
Yeah, we're definitely behind on that. And you know, you say that Etrian Odyssey is like the better game than what I like about Soul Hackers is like it's got like a really cool story in there, man. I'm really liking the banter between like that one chick that's got the demon like takes over part of her soul or
Nemisa.
whatever and yeah, man, the banter back and forth and like your whole gang of like hackers and stuff, man. I really enjoyed the story and the writing. And with Etrian Odyssey, there's not much story to it, but the way
Yeah,
it's the
I
way it's like the way it says things is pretty cool though. Like, oh, you see a guy, just the way it's worded is pretty cool. You draw your sword and look to the sky and feel a fresh breeze coming through. Shit like that is really cool, man.
yeah. See,
And
there is kind of a difference in style for those games. Etrian Odyssey is really like a wizardry game. I mean, it plays like a wizardry game. It's a lot. It's very similar. You create your party out of a group of kind of set classes
yeah,
and set races, and you have to customize a party to be optimal for each situation.
yeah, it,
That's essentially the the good points of playing a wizardry game is that even like and I recently played the first wizardry again, went through the first three wizardry games. I have them on the Saturn, and I went through and played them all again, and it's still fun. That game came out in 1981, and it's still like a really good dungeon crawler.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I've never really been into them, the first person dungeon crawls, but what I'm finding addicting about like the genre, or I don't know if it's like with all the games, is like, you're underpowered and it's all about like exploring the world and seeing like those fish jump up. You're like, oh shit, go catch the fish. You like see some ducks flying, go get those ducks and grab some like vegetables out of the ground or whatever and gather up all of the shit, and take it back to town and sell it and get some gold, which is like gold is everything, man. And going back in into the labyrinth and just fighting as many enemies as you can, going back and like saving up for those items, and the more shit you find out in the world, like you take it back to the store and it opens up new things to buy because you brought in new materials, and like it's really addicting, man, just leveling up your characters and getting those new items and taking them back and getting better weapons, and watching your characters grow, and like seeing enemies that would like decimate you when you first started. After about 6 7 hours, you come back and just put the ass whooping on them and make progress. It's like I'm finding it really addictive, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's like one of the. It's like the real good points about first person dungeon crawlers that are done well is that
Mhm.
you'll find that you want to go through the dungeons and you want to fight a lot of stuff, even though like people think of it as grinding. You don't think of it as grinding because you think of it as like I'm collecting this thing or I'm doing this, even though it's literally just fighting monsters over and over. You're thinking like
Yeah,
you're doing it for a purpose, not for just like, oh, I need to gain levels. You're doing it because you need to get this item or you need to get these things to make your characters better or make this
yeah,
strategy work. You have to do this to make your character better.
yeah.
And it it's essentially grinding, but I mean it's done in a way that it kind of hides the grind from you.
First person dungeon crawlers, because I thought to myself, oh man, it's just grinding nonstop and not much. I've always been like a real big story guy, and I'm like, man, these are not for me because I'm not gonna be able to take all the grinding and just over and over again. But when you actually get in and start playing the game, it the grinding aspect just like left my mind, dude. It wasn't about grinding. It was about, I've fought so many fights. I've got so much gold. I've got all these items. I'm gonna take it back. I can't wait to see how much money I get and what I can get with this gold and how much stronger I'll be to go to this next spot and explore. And it's totally addictive, dude. It's totally not what I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's like I want to say like like for example in the wizardry games, in the first wizardry, like you beat the game. When you beat the game, your level is like maybe 10 or 12. Like it's not
Mhm.
about being a level. It's about like making a party that can fight adequately in the situation that you're going to be in. So
Okay.
a lot of it has to do with strategy. You have to really think about the boss battles. It's not something you can just like power level through in a lot of cases. A lot of times you really have to think about how you're going to go about fighting and how you're going to go about, killing each different boss in a separate way.
Right.
That's like
Now,
the kind of way that I think about games and like role playing games, which makes some games a lot easier. Like some games, if you have that in mind from the beginning, like thinking about how you're going to build your party to fight certain bosses, like you get to the boss and you have to figure out a strategy. Like a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just
yeah.
think, well, I can switch it to easy here and fight the boss by grinding, and that's about all I
Oh,
would do. Like that's. I mean, it's an option in the game, I guess, but it's not an option as like for me, it's not an option because I know there's a strategy I can come up with that'll get me through it without having to switch to easy mode.
yeah, definitely, man. Now, the Shin Megami Tensei 4, that's not out in Japan yet, is
No,
it?
it's out.
Was it?
I've been playing it for about a week.
Now, would you consider that a dungeon crawler?
It's a dungeon crawler, but it's not first person.
Okay. Now, how that's exclusive on the 3DS now, right?
Yes.
Is that like is that one of your favorite series, would you say, the Shin Megami Tensei?
Yeah, it's probably it's not my favorite game series all over, but it's definitely one of my top games that I really enjoy.
Do you prefer that to the Persona series, or?
Yeah, I prefer the main SMT series to Persona.
Okay. Now, how is the fourth one? How is that one
Okay,
stack up?
I'm about 20 hours in, I think, right now,
Uh-huh.
and it's good. There's a lot of stuff with it that's different. I mean, there's a lot of things that are not the same in that, it kind of plays like a mix between the older ones and 3, which was also third person.
Hmm.
And then it has some kind of added things that are, some are good and some are not so good. But overall, it's great. The story is interesting and the settings are awesome. I really like what I like about the SMT series more than like say Persona is that the settings are totally different. They're really dark and everywhere is dark and everywhere is desolate and everything is like totally like weird in a way that's like totally, you have to really think about what's going on when you talk to people because they all have a motive and you have to think about what their motive is and if you want to join up with them or you want to help their motive or not because it affects the way the game plays out.
Hmm.
So it's pretty interesting.
Now, did you just recently get a 3DS?
No, I've had one for a while.
Yeah. How long ago did you get that? Would you say maybe like has it been a year?
Maybe a year. It
Okay.
might be less. I'm not even sure. But I have a lot of games for the 3DS now.
Yeah. What games do you have for it?
Um, Off the top of my head,
Is
Project.
there do you have like a lot that hasn't come out in the US for it?
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I have. Let's see, Project Cross Zone, Lost Heroes, Soul Hackers, Code of Princess. Mm, what else? Oh, Beyond the Labyrinth, and of course, like Fire Emblem and what's it called? Etrian Odyssey. And I have Agit, which is like the simulation game for underground bases.
Okay.
So maybe half of those are not out in the US.
Okay, now would you compare like my favorite like the SMT game that I don't know why I liked it so much, probably because I can't like it's hard for me to get into like RPGs that are like that take place in like present time in the streets of Tokyo where like every character is like a confusing Japanese name and like different Japanese streets and stuff and I don't know man I like the demon fusing and like the how you have to like converse with the demons and convince them to join your party or try to like pick a response or whatever. I dig that part, but like the whole modern Tokyo street setting, that thing that's the reason why I really got into Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey.
Oh yeah.
Like I really liked that one on the DS, man, how it took place in like the Schwarzwald or whatever, like that like Antarctic base or something, dude, and it was all like in the cold and that setting of that game really appealed to me, and I really dug that game. Will Shin Megami Tensei 4 will that like appeal to me? But do you think, or is that in the streets of like Tokyo and stuff, or how does that work?
Well, okay. When you start the game, it's not in Tokyo. It's in like an imaginary land.
Cool. Oh, okay, cool.
It's in a country called East Mikado, which you find out is like there's like weird stuff going on with it. Um, it starts out almost like a fantasy RPG because like you're in a castle and there's samurai and
Oh
peasants in the
man,
village and stuff.
I'm
It's
already interested, dude.
and then like as you continue in the game, suddenly you're in Tokyo and it's modern day Tokyo, but it's like not modern day Tokyo, it's like future Tokyo that's been destroyed.
Okay.
So, of course, the places are all modern day places in Tokyo, but they don't resemble Tokyo. And
Okay.
the when you get to the Tokyo areas, it's kind of like destroyed cyberpunk Tokyo or something. The names of the places are the same, but the locations and everybody there are different.
Okay. Does it feel like it's almost like a console game, like on a handheld? Does it feel pretty big, massive?
Yeah, I mean, it plays like I don't know if you played the Persona 1.
Yeah, I have.
You know when you're on the map, you're that little triangle with a circle on top that represents your party.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
it does that in this game. So when you're in the Tokyo area and you travel the map, you're actually like a triangle with a circle on top.
Okay.
but it's like that in all the SMT games. 1 and 2 at least are like that when you're on the map, and the
Yeah.
battles are actually first person, like Etrian Odyssey.
Okay.
They're not.
Oh,
It's not static images. They're animated slightly. They're in like a couple frame animation loop,
okay. Okay.
and
I got you.
but they're all 2D. So
Yeah.
you run around the dungeons like Persona, I guess, and when you see enemies, they'll appear or they'll run at you, and you have to hit them with a sword before they hit you, or you'll get like a bonus to attack or whatever,
Okay.
like Persona 4 or 3.
Right. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game, man. Like. I want to say like the SMT games and Persona and stuff. I really wanted to get into that series like since Nocturne, and I something about them I really couldn't get into them. But like the more I've opened my mind and accepted some of the things, I've really enjoyed quite a few of the entries. I really dug Persona 4 the Golden, even though that was kind of like in Japanese school and like on the streets kind of, but it was the story, like the whole, somebody's been going to the TV and killing people that really appealed to me, and with the strange journey, like that whole, because I'm already sold on the battle system. And the same with like Soul Hackers. I love the demon like fusing aspect and like the conversation, like selecting certain responses, like that part's already got me sold. It's not the battle system, it's the whole overall package and the theme and story. But I'm really finding myself getting into those games lately, and I'm really excited for the fourth one for sure.
Yeah,
So it's
I
good.
think you'll enjoy it. It's not like being in a modern day situation at all.
That's cool. I'm looking
It's
forward
not
to
like
it.
something like Devil Survivor where it's like really like modern day Tokyo or
Yeah,
modern day Japan.
yeah, yeah, man. That I try to get into that, and I love the battle system in that, and the story actually seemed pretty cool, man. But once again, I just couldn't take the just the average city streets, and it's not just because it's like Tokyo. Like if I was playing an RPG like in the U.S. where I was in freaking Nebraska, and go to Fourth and Wilmot Street and find this demon, it just wouldn't appeal to me, dude. It's not just because it's a Japanese street and names I can't pronounce. You know what I'm saying? It's just I guess I like fantasy, like being stuck in those enchanted lands and castles and waterfalls. However cliche it is, that's just what appeals to me.
Yeah, I think like with SMT4, it's like being a character from a fantasy RPG who stumbled into a kind of destroyed future city. It's weird.
Okay.
It's weird in that way because your characters originally come from this kind of fantasy type land where there's peasants and castles and things,
Yeah.
and they kind of end up in this new into a place where they hadn't been before, which is like the destroyed Tokyo.
Okay. Because yeah, I recently finished Nino Kuni, and I can say that honestly that would be like my perfect RPG. Like recently, there's just one thing that kills Nino Kuni for me, and that is, have you played the
I
game?
haven't.
Okay, it's not gonna be any spoilers or anything, but the game, the fantasy world is very rich and it's lush to look at. Everything is great, the different environments. But every time you do something or you talk to somebody and you have your next objective, all you do is look on your map and find where the highlighted thing is to go to. It's totally killed the sense of exploration. And there's times where you go back and forth between like Motorville, which is like the real life city, and the fantasy world. And I mean, there's never any exploration because it's always like clearly marked on your map where you have to go next. And that's something I miss, man. I mean, there's like this huge open world, and when you have your next objective, it's instead of like figuring out for yourself and where to go, or like having to think a little bit, it's just follow the freaking map, follow
Hmm.
to the marker, and it kills it for me, man.
There's none of that in the new Shin Megami Tensei. It's you have a quest list which is new to the series actually, but the quest lists are just the content of the quest, and then you have to figure out where to go. And sometimes it'll tell you directly where to go, but there's not a marker on the map telling you where to go. You just have to remember where that location is.
Yeah, and granted, it's not a deal breaker in Nino Kuni because there's like tons of side quests to do and tons of like stuff to do, but when you're sticking to the main quest, it's just a matter of, talking to that character. He'll tell you what's going on, everything you need to know. And then when you're done talking, your objective is magically lit up with that marker. You know exactly where to go. And which I guess is good for some people because it can get frustrating. Like, oh, I don't know where the fuck I gotta go. I'm backtracking. Oh, I'm fucking lost. This is pissing me off. But
Yeah, well, the
you
game
know,
is kind of centered more towards children, so
yeah, yeah,
it is a kind of thing where like it might be helpful if you're a kid. Though I don't,
yeah.
it's not really. I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't have that, and I was fine.
No, yeah, me too, man. Playing the original Lunar, dude. I mean, shit, you didn't see your enemies on the map. You know, when you had to go to the White Dragon's cave, you had to fucking walk out of the town and find where the hell you had to go, and if you got into, 70 random encounters on the way there, better hope you have enough healing items to win all the battles and then still explore the cave at that. So I'm used to the old school challenge. So it was a great game if they would have replaced all the children characters with like some older characters but as in terms of like the setting, the fantasy setting and the actual locales and art direction, a stellar game. And it's like I'm playing through the Tales of the Abyss right now on the 3DS, and I beat that when it first came out on the PS2, and that's another great game, man. Where just the locales and the scenery. It's like, I'm 25 hours into the game, and I'm still like coming into different towns that are just the art direction just blows me away, man. Like there's a city that's built on water that floats over the water, and there's like lush waterfalls flowing through the different towns and houses, and it's just amazing, dude. And this is 25 hours into the game. I'm still seeing fresh, new architecture, new towns, new environments, and it's just amazing. Great game.
Yeah, I think now that I'm thinking about it, have you? I mean, since we're supposed to be talking about the next generation, have you thought of anything for the Wii U that makes it more appealing? I mean, recently there haven't been any real announcements for it, but have you found anything about it besides like the stuff we talked about earlier that would make the Wii U exciting for you?
Man, to be honest with you, the most appealing thing about the Wii U right now is being able to play like Xenoblade Chronicles, Pandora's Tower, and The Last Story in HD.
I don't want to like burst your bubble here, but I think when you play Wii games on the Wii U, they're not upscaled.
Oh, good God. Really?
Yeah, I don't think they're upscaled to HD. I think they're just like played through HDMI in 480i or whatever.
Oh man, see, I'm so in the dark. I haven't been even reading up on anything on the Wii U at all.
I
If that's the case,
recently I've been thinking like I'm gonna buy a Wii U. I know I'm gonna eventually buy one. I'm not. It just it's the kind of thing where like there's been such a like no announcements for it. It's just it's and the stuff they've been announcing, even when they do make announcements, has been so mediocre to just who cares. It's like for me especially because I don't like Nintendo's first party stuff. Almost all of it really. I'm not a fan.
yeah,
So buying the Wii U is a gamble for me because like I can't even bank on the fact that like well Nintendo's going to put out some good stuff because really I don't think they are. So it's the kind of thing where I know I'm going to buy one because I really want to get Fire Emblem Cross Shin Megami Tensei. But
yeah.
besides that, there's a few things that I'm interested in, like the Wonderful 101. That's the platinum game.
Yeah, yeah,
That one is that one looks pretty good. Though they said it's going to be really short, but doesn't really matter if it's fun. It's fun. Uh,
yeah. See, I'm in the same boat as you with the Wii and with the Wii U and basically any Nintendo system that has come before it. You buy the Nintendo console for Nintendo's first party offerings because the GameCube didn't exactly set the world on fire with its, I don't want to say, third party exclusives or its third party support. I mean, the GameCube for the most part got the most multi-platform games that the Xbox and PS2 did, with a few exceptions. The 60 going farther back, the 64 didn't really have strong third-party support. The Wii U got a lot of it, but a lot of it was shovelware and a few gems. But like you said, you buy a Nintendo system for the first-party offerings, and like you, I'm not all that into Nintendo's first-party offerings. I mean, I like Zelda, I like Metroid, I like Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
Um,
see, in my case, for Nintendo first party stuff, if Intelligent Systems makes it, I'm okay. And Intelligent Systems, like, basically they make Fire Emblem and Advance Wars.
yeah,
That's about it. I mean, they don't really do anything else. Every once in a while, they'll put out another game, but it's, and they made, like, Cubivore, I think. That was good, but that was on the GameCube.
yeah,
It's the kind of thing where, like, beyond that, I'm not a fan of Zelda. I don't really like Zelda. I haven't played Metroid since, Metroid Prime,
yeah,
and I haven't played. I'm not like really into Pikmin. I'm not a fan of Mario. I don't like whatever millionth Mario game they're gonna put out. I'm not really excited about Mario and Sonic at the Olympics or whatever that they announced.
yeah, man.
But
I'm
they did
same.
announce that they were going to make those 3 exclusive Sonic games for the Wii U. So I wanted to see how you felt about that, because I figured that would push you to get a Wii U, if anything.
Yeah, and that's interesting you bring that up because I watched some like footage of the new Sonic Lost World, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
And it looks a lot like the canceled well not looks like, but I can see elements of Super Mario Galaxy, and I can see a lot of elements of the canceled Sega Saturn game, the Sonic Extreme, where like it's got kind of like cube worlds and you can kind of run up the side of it and it like scales around to follow you around. It looks really cool. Um, and I've heard a lot of people say like they're calling it like Super, like Sonic Mario Galaxy combined, and it looks really interesting, man. And I love Sega. It's no secret. Do I necessarily love Sonic? I mean, I liked Sonic a lot back when he was on the Genesis, and I loved the first three games in Sonic and Knuckles, but I wasn't even really the biggest fan of Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, man. I think that was like the start of the downfall. And I'm not really a fan of like the other characters in the Sonic universe, like Charmy Bee and freaking Mighty the Armadillo and all these like
I've
crazy.
I've never even heard of those.
Yeah, they're a lot of them are from like Knuckles, Knuckles Chaotix and
Sonic
Sonic.
and his shitty friends is
Yeah, Sonic. What was that one? The multi-platform for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Sonic Heroes, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm not like a huge Sonic fan. I mean, I respect what he did for Sega, and I really enjoy Generations. And Sonic's not enough to make me to go out and buy a system, but it does look really good. That new game, the Lost World, or whatever. So, I mean, that's definitely one I'd check out if I got the Wii U. But I'm reading right here. It says, "Rejoice, my friends. The Wii U does in fact upscale games to 720p and 1080p."
Does it?
Yeah, it says while the games are upscaled to HD, the native resolution of the Wii games are still the same. The result is a clear and sharper image for almost every Wii game available, but with really clear and pixelated edges.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
I didn't know that. I had read that it was still only 480, but through HDMI, so it was a little clearer.
yeah, it says games like Xenoblade Chronicles look amazing with the upscaling.
Well, that's good. That's another bonus then. I
Yeah,
actually, I don't have a lot of Wii games. I probably have total, 10 or 12 maybe.
yeah.
But
Same here. I think I have like the Project Rainfall game. I got, Blast Story, Xenoblade, Pandora's Tower. I think I've got Mad World. I think Mario Galaxy. I've got Excitebots, and Arc Fantasia, and then like Fragile Dreams and Lost in Shadow. Like a few of the like the what are the like I don't know, lesser known gems, I'd say, like Lost in Shadow I consider to be like a gem, and and Fragile Moon. Those are some good games, but like we've talked about, I'm not a big fan of like Nintendo's first party stuff, so not a lot of that stuff appealed to me. Mainly just the RPGs. Which I wanted to ask you, have you seen how much the value has gone up on Xenoblade Chronicles?
I haven't, but I heard that like the last I heard, it was like over $100.
Yeah, man. It just like shot up, over the past couple of months. The prices have just shot up insane. And I remember at the time hearing that that game only came out at GameStop. I remember hearing that, but at the time I didn't think like, oh God, buy a couple copies of this because you leave a couple sealed and shit. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't even thinking like that. I just went in there and bought a copy, like not on release day, like a few weeks after, and they had quite a few copies still. So I didn't think anything of it. I
Yeah,
guess the
now
last.
it's. I guess it's. I mean, I doubt. I don't even know if it's really rare. I just think like it was only sold at GameStop so that people have an image of it being rare. Didn't it? It sold
Yeah.
like a couple 100,000 copies though, didn't it?
I think the thing is with that is that it's a great game, and I think word of mouth is spreading, and now people that didn't buy it when it came out want it, and they can't go to Best Buy, they can't go to Target or Kmart and find a straggler copy, maybe like a copy that never sold from the initial batch left over. So that's like driving the demand up, because obviously GameStop isn't going to get any more new copies in, so it might just be a little bit, I don't know, maybe a short production run mixed with the fact that it was only sold at one retailer. Who knows, dude?
Yeah.
It's but it's a great game, and I'm really enjoying. Did you play the Pandora's Tower?
No.
Wow, dude, I'm really enjoying that one. It's almost got that like Shadow of the Colossus vibe to it, where you're the focus of the game. You have to like save a loved one, like your I don't know if she's your girlfriend or whatever. She's like, a girl you obviously have strong feelings for. She has this like rare disease, and it causes her to like mutate into this creature, dude. With like, it looks like the transition as she's changing looks painful. And she's got like these tentacles that come out, and she like turns into this hideous thing. She's obviously like a really pretty girl, like before the change starts, and the only way you can stop this transformation is by going into this tower and climbing these different levels and slaying monsters and bringing back beast flesh.
Hmm.
And then you have to feed her this flesh. And you can tell by like she like is repulsed by eating it, and it looks disgusting. And when she eats this flesh, it slows the curse. So the one thing that really will revert the curse is by bringing back master flesh. And master flesh is like the boss of each level, and I guess there's like 13 levels to this tower. So you have to go and slay these 13 um, like masters and bring back the beast flesh and have her eat it. And supposedly, once you kill all these monsters and feed her this flesh, the curse will be no more. And it's just kind of like set in like a desolate world type, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus, where it's just all like a lonely, lonely world, man. And it's the premise of you trying to save the one you love by killing. I'm really enjoying it, dude.
Yeah, I saw the reviews for it were kind of mixed in that some
Yeah,
people
they
liked it
were.
and some people didn't. But
Yeah.
I like the way it sounds. It sounds like a good game. I just haven't played it. I haven't really bought anything for the Wii for a long time. So
Yeah, it's definitely unique, and I'm really enjoying the last story as well, man. I think that's a really really well written, enjoyable game. I like you. I haven't really bought anything for the Wii in a really long time, and I knew that these Project Rainfall games were if anything is going to interest me, it's going to be something like that. And I there was such a big deal on getting these games over. I knew there's going to be something, so I figured I'd pick them up and. Those two, I'm really enjoying. I think I've enjoyed those three games more than anything I've played on the Wii. I did really enjoy Mad World, but that's like an action game where it's just bloody as hell. But I enjoyed Arc Rise Fantasia as well, to a lesser degree. But they're all really good games, man. Yeah, but with the Wii U, I could definitely see myself getting one here pretty soon. If not for the only reason that I don't think, I don't know, unless Xbox really floors me with the exclusives. I don't see myself having a need to have two systems that basically have the same library this generation again. So I want to have like the Wii U obviously is going to be a system where we get different kinds of experiences due to the tablet controller and maybe some different kinds of gaming experiences overall. I want to have that like on the side, and then I want to have like my main console that's going to get all the games. But I don't know about you, but like I just don't see the need to have two consoles that have basically the same library, save for a few exclusives. I don't know that I need that this next generation. I might just go with the Xbox or the PS4, which at this point it's leaning strongly. Well, I know I have to have a PS4 because
Yeah,
I enjoy their exclusives too much not to have one. But at this point, I can't see myself having two systems that are going to have such a similar library. You know?
I agree. It's the problem is that, going into this generation, you had the idea that it would be like the previous generation. If you had an Xbox the previous generation, you had an entirely different set of games than you did with the PS2, and it's like there was crossover obviously, but like there were a lot of exclusives on the original Xbox and a lot of exclusives on the PS2 and a lot of exclusives on the GameCube. But
Yeah.
in this generation, it was like, if you had a Wii, you had a lot of exclusives, but, you had a Wii. And
Yeah.
if you had an Xbox and you had a PS3, you had some exclusives, but you had like 95% the same games.
Yeah.
And,
Definitely.
you at the beginning of the generation, it had you said like, well, 95% of the games are going to be the same on both systems. I probably wouldn't have both systems. I probably wouldn't have bothered.
Yeah. 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 It's definitely going to come down to exclusives, and at this point, I know Sony's got me covered in that regard. I mean, there's too many like the Ratchet and Clanks, the Uncharted's, the Resistance, the Motorstorm, the Starhawk, Twisted Metal, Journey, like all these exclusive games is leaning towards the PS4 and a Wii U for me for the generation, and I should be set, unless Xbox really wows me with stuff that I have to have. I just don't see a need to have two consoles with the same library, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I still hold out some hope for the Xbox One. I don't think it's like a lost cause, and
no,
they could put out some games that would convince me to buy it. And you know, in all honesty, I know how much people hate it, but I like the Kinect.
yeah,
So I love the new Kinect features they showed on the Xbox One were really awesome. I thought like it did a lot of things that were really cool,
yeah,
and
definitely,
the accuracy and the things it can do is way more than the current Kinect. So
yeah,
that is actually pretty awesome for me. I liked a lot of that stuff,
hmm,
but so they could do a lot of exclusives that way with the Kinect features.
yeah, definitely,
And it's kind of like a joke that people think like, oh, better with Kinect, but I can think of some games that actually were better with Kinect. Like
yeah,
Mass Effect 3 was better with Kinect.
yeah,
And only because it had the voice stuff, which was really helpful. Like, you could say the lines of the character. It got me a little bit more into the game than I would have been otherwise.
yeah. I really enjoyed Rise of the Nightmares.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
good game.
I really enjoyed that, dude. I mean, sure, was it like ideal way to play it? Probably not, but I liked the game a lot, dude. I thought it was a really fun game to play, and it's a shame we never did get like a fighting game, not like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but like a beat 'em up where you could, it would recognize your gestures one to one. We never got one of those, and I'd like to see something like that on the new Connect where you could really, every move you make and punch you through would react to your on-screen character, and have a Final Fight style beat 'em up or Streets of Rage where you could, kick some ass. Everything you did on screen would react. You know what I mean? That would be awesome, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that actually. It would be pretty cool to have the same kind of setup as like a Final Fight or something where you could, but I mean, obviously you would get really tired if you had a punch like Guy punches, but if you had a punch like Hagar punches, it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely get a workout, man. There's a game for the PlayStation Move called The Fight Lights Out, And that's pretty damn close, man, to like one-to-one punching, where you hold like a move controller in each hand. And the only thing is you can't like move your feet because it throws off the calibration. But if you're willing to stand in the same spot, you can accurately throw punches and it connects pretty well. I enjoy that game.
I haven't
But
tried that. I don't have two move controllers.
yeah, it's definitely a workout. And that's, the move really gets a bad rap too, but that's got some awesome rail shooters on it. And I like sorcery a lot. So I mean, the connect and the move are, thrown out there pretty quick and not a lot of hardcore support, but they're both peripherals that really have a lot of potential that can be expanded upon this generation for
Yeah,
sure.
I hope that happens. I hope they come out with some stuff on the Xbox One for Kinect that's awesome. Like
Yeah.
because it has potential to be awesome. It's just, in the current situation, nobody is going to put the money in to develop it. But
No.
because it's a split base. It's like the Sega CD or something. It had a lot of
Yeah.
potential, but no one was going to put money into that because everybody didn't have it.
Yeah. Now that it's out of the box, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. So, but now that every system has it does mean that you can develop and everybody will have it already. And I
Yeah.
think like the benefit to that is that I think a lot of people who are kind of naysayers to it and wouldn't have picked it up will try it and figure out that like it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I mean, I would when they announced the Kinect and they showed it, I wasn't really excited about it, but I bought one anyway because I thought like, well, maybe they'll put out something that's cool for it. And I've had fun with it. I've played stuff online with it. I played like Kinect Adventures with somebody, and it was fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
had
the even the sports games were fun. I mean, call it a Wii Sports ripoff, but that was a hell of a lot more accurate. Bowling was fun as hell. Golf was fun.
I,
It was fun.
I even have that Hulk Hogan game.
Yeah, I've got a shirt for you, man.
Do
A Hulk
you
Hogan. I do. I have the shirt.
for that
I
game?
remember I remember you saying that a while back, like you and Point were talking about it or something, and I went to GameStop and they had an extra shirt, Hulk Hogan's
Main
Connect
event.
Wrestling.
Hulk
Yeah,
Hogan's main event.
I've got one. I've got a shirt for you.
I
So,
that game is it's not a really good game, but it's fun and you have like a little Hulkster in the corner giving you tips. It's pretty funny. Um, it's not it's not like a AAA game or anything. It's not like the kind of game where you're going to be like recommending it to your friends. But like if you like Hulk Hogan and you like kind of goofy arcade wrestling, then
yeah.
it's fun. I don't know. I had fun with that game.
Yeah, that's it's awesome, dude. So we can't properly talk about like next generation predictions and what we think and how it's going and offering comments and criticisms without talking about the 3DS and the Vita, which are kind of next generation handhelds, in this console war, and
Yeah, I mean they're already out, but they are the next gen. Considering like at the beginning of this generation we had the PSP and the regular old DS.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they were the start of the next gen, which is
yeah, they were.
so the 3DS pretty good at the moment. When it started out, it was like the Wii U, where I was just looking at it and thinking, I know I'm going to get one of those someday, but there's no games. But
Yeah.
they really kicked it into high gear. Everybody's making 3DS games now, and that's a good thing. The 3DS is a great system. It's got it's not incredibly powerful, but does what it has to do, and there are a lot of good games for it.
Very true. And I've always played handhelds, man. I had an original Game Boy, I had a Game Gear, I had a Lynx, a Game Boy Advance, a DS. I've always enjoyed handheld gaming. Never so much as I have this generation with the Vita and the 3DS, man. I love both of them to death. Like you said, the 3DS had a rocky start. The Vita's having a rocky, whatever you want to call it now. Um, when I got the 3DS on launch, I love 3D. I love 3D movies, and I like 3D in general. So I was really excited to see the 3DS. It seems like when the 3DS came out, like 3D was like riding this huge wave of like box office movie success, and like everybody was talking about 3D. Sony was really hyping up 3D with the PlayStation 3 and the glasses and the TV sets. It kind of seems like that 3D hype and craze has kind of died down. I don't hear as much talk about 3D anymore, but I think, in my opinion, it really adds to the gaming experience when it's done right in games. I mean, granted, it's not optimal to have to hold the 3DS, and if you kind of move your hands or move the system or turn your head, it kind of goes blurry. That kind of it's annoying. It kind of sucks, but
Yeah.
played the right way, I think games like you said, it's not very powerful. But when I look at games like Resident Evil and even like Luigi's Mansion 2, those are like damn good looking games, man, and they run well, they look amazing in 3D, and I think it really adds to the gameplay. It's like to me, it's like looking in a little window, or you
Like
know,
like a diorama.
yeah, like a diorama, and it's really I love the 3DS. I think the system's on fire, and it's a great example of I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan in terms of their first party offerings, but even the DS and now the 3DS, there's such strong third party support and such great games being made for it that I really like the handheld quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the 3DS, and I was pretty skeptical at first. I mean, I don't have a really big DS library actually. I wasn't like a huge fan of the DS. Like I bought one.
Hmm.
I bought one on launch day, but the thing is the 3DS. Like the amount of 3DS games I have now is probably like almost the amount I have of DS games. So
Yeah.
the 3DS is like really killing it for me. Like I often look for 3DS games. I'm always looking at news for new ones. There's lots of new third-party stuff coming out that's great.
Hmm.
Uh, the system is just really good. I can't complain about it. I have no complaints about the 3DS beyond that. Like 3D actually gives me a headache.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
y-
Yeah. When it first came out, I think I picked up Steel Diver, Pilot Wings, and Ridge Racer. Those were my launch games. Super Street Fighter interested me, but I have that on a console, and I'm not really trying to. I'm not big enough into that to try to get on a handheld and fight competitively or whatever. But the 3D and Pilot Wings was really good. That was the first game I saw like in 3D running on the system, and I was super impressed. And Ridge Racer, even though there was no online, looked great. And it was a little slow at first. Like Zelda came out, and then it just seems like it was like boom, all of a sudden. Mario 3D Land hit, Mario Kart hit, and then the RPG started coming, Code of Princess, and then you got games like Kid Icarus, which I do like Kid Icarus a lot. That was one Nintendo game that I really enjoyed growing up, and it's cool to see that come back.
yeah, see, I
And then
really liked Kid Icarus growing up, but the 3DS one looks terrible to me.
the control scheme is not ideal.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah. The thing with the thing with the 3DS right now is that I don't have like a huge amount of games that are coming out in the near future that I'm looking forward to. I'm waiting
Yeah.
for E3 for some big announcements though.
Yeah.
Right now I don't have a whole lot on the burner for the 3DS.
Yeah, that's the question mark for me too. I know I want Shin Megami Tensei 4 and I want Project X Zone.
Yeah, those are games I already have though, so it's kind
Yeah,
of
you've already got those. So, but other than that, dude, I don't know what more in the future. I mean, obviously they announced like a new Zelda and some new, I think, was it not Donkey Kong?
yeah. Donkey Kong
Was it
came out though,
was
didn't it? Donkey Kong Country 3D.
yeah, yeah. What was the other game they announced? A new Yoshi, new Yoshi.
Was that for the
Uh,
Wii U though?
the Yoshi announcement?
Yeah.
No, they're I don't know if it's a remake or if they're making a new. I mean, I'll look it up while we're talking, but I know they announced a new Yoshi game at one of the Nintendo Directs.
Yeah,
It
wasn't
was
it that Yarn one where it's like Kirby's Epic Yarn but Yoshi?
I
Yeah.
think so,
I
yeah.
think that's on the
Yeah.
Wii U.
There's one that okay, here it is right here. Yoshi's Island 3DS.
Oh, okay.
Um it is a new Yoshi Island game has been announced or long rumored till 2006 the DS. The new Yoshi's Island carries on the series' signature core gameplay mechanics. It's a real SNES throwback, gorgeous and retro. It looks closer to the original Yoshi's Island. No release date announced. So yeah, there's a new Yoshi's Island on the 3DS. Um, and the new Zelda. And I'm sure there's another. I would really like to see like a new 2D like side-scrolling Metroid with like the third. I don't know if you played the Castlevania game on the 3DS.
Oh, I haven't
Uh,
played it yet.
wow, man, that game with the 3D on looks amazing because it's like fixed camera angles and this stuff in the background, these castles and these gothic environments, they just pop to life, man. It is like you said, like a diorama. It's an amazing looking game with a 3D on. And that's actually like a really enjoyable game. It kind of like uses like the Cave Story 3D kind of graphical style where there's stuff going on in the background where it's like I don't know, like you'll see it coming towards you and then it like veers off into the background and then levels out and just crazy stuff going on in the background and it's super impressive, man. And it's like a 2.5D type thing, so it's really impressive.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you like that Castlevania game, why am I drawing a blank on what the hell it's called?
Lords of
Cas-
Darkness or
yeah, Lords of
Lords of
Shadow,
Shadow, that's what it is.
Mirrors of Fate, I believe it's called. If you like, did you like Lords of or the console?
Yeah, Lords of Shadow it was, right?
Yeah, then you'll
Yeah, I
love.
really liked that. I really liked Lords of Shadow.
You gotta play the 3DS one, then you'll love it. It's really impressive.
Um, so yeah, 3DS. What about the Vita?
Oh boy, now the Vita, I think it's got potential to be my favorite portable ever made. Um, I was super, super excited for the launch, and I think it had a great launch, man. It had, obviously you don't care, but a new Uncharted game. It had a new Wipeout. It had an Army Corps. It had Dynasty Warriors. It had what else, dude? An amazing launch, a nice variety of titles.
I agree.
And
I think the Vita had a really strong launch. Not for me particularly, but there were a lot of good games on the Vita when it came out.
yeah, and what's sad is the way it's being treated. I mean, we've had one really strong exclusive that came out like relatively shortly after launch, and that was Gravity Rush. And now we've just got the recently released Soul Sacrifice, which is another strong exclusive. But the system is just, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they've got to make some new original. Sure, the crossplay stuff is really cool. It's great to buy one. Like I bought Sly Cooper 4 and I can play it on my PS3. I can save it and do the crossplay and play it on my Vita instantly. No hassling between saves, very smooth. But it's not enough, man. We need some new games built specifically for the Vita. I think it does a lot of things very well with its online and cross game chat and the speed at which you can access trophies and do other things. It's technically a freaking marvel. I mean, Uncharted looks better than the first Uncharted on the PS3. I mean, it's an amazing piece of kit. The hardware is very impressive. And it's a shame to see what Sony is doing with this system because I mean, how much longer are they going to wait to
Yeah, see,
that's
the thing with the Vita is that in Japan there's actually a lot of games announced for it.
yeah.
So there's actually been a bunch of games that have come out that didn't come out in the U.S. So there's a bunch of stuff like Tales of Innocence R and Tales of Hearts R, and then
Yeah.
there's like what's it called, Demon's Gaze and Labyrinth Cross Blood.
I read that it actually outsold like the 3DS and like a bunch of other systems for a couple of months there. Is
Yeah,
that
when the price dropped, it had a huge bunch of had a huge sale streak where it sold a
uh,
ton. That was like at the same time that what's it called, Soul Sacrifice came out. But
yeah.
there's a bunch of stuff still coming on the horizon for that. Dragon's Crown is going to be on the Vita, and
Yeah.
God Eater 2 will be out, and that Mind Zero game, which looks like Persona 3.
Yeah.
Um,
They just said that the Rayman Legends. I really enjoyed Rayman Origins, and it looked amazing on the Vita. I think that Rayman Origins like looked better on the Vita than the home console versions. It looks so gorgeous on that screen.
hmm,
They just announced today that they're going to port the new one, Rayman Legends, which was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive. It's going to come to the Vita with like bonus levels and extra stuff that's not in the other versions, and it's going to look just as good, if not better, than the consoles. They said they're really striving to make it look the best it can, and the
that's
first one
cool.
looked awesome. So yeah, that's something to look forward to.
And there's like Muramatsu the Demon Blade. That's already out here, but I think
Oh,
that's
have
coming
you?
out in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I've got the special edition pre-order. Are you going to pick that up, or
I'll pick it
have
up
you picked?
eventually. I've been just waiting on it. It came out on the same day as something else. I think Demon Gaze maybe. So I bought Demon Gaze instead. No, it came out on
Uh-huh.
the same day as that Curry roguelike Holy Sorcery Story.
Okay.
So I bought that instead, and that was pretty cool. There's also that there's a couple RPGs announced. There's Tokiden, that monster hunting game with samurais and kind of Japanese style monsters.
Yeah, Tearaway looks really good too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff I think for the Vita too. I like the Vita a lot. The screen looks really nice, and there's like a ton of really good stuff on it. Right, like recently I've been playing like some downloadable games on there.
Yeah, me too. Guacamelee is really fun.
Yeah, it's all together. The Vita and the 3DS are really good. Like I think recently I've probably been playing the handhelds more than I've been playing my consoles.
Yeah, same here. I've been playing a lot. Do you think this will be the last generation for handhelds with the way tablets and smartphones and everything's taken over? And, do you think this will be the last year we get, or the last generation we get dedicated handhelds from Sony or
Man, I
Nintendo?
hope not. Maybe it will be for Sony because the
Y-
Vita isn't doing so well.
Yeah, depending on how they, we'll see at E3 the fate of the Vita for sure. And I hope it's good because I love the system, and I'd hate to see the Vita be the last. This is the longest anybody's ever lasted up against Nintendo.
Yeah, two generations. It's more than anybody else.
You know,
But it's the kind of
definitely.
thing where like Nintendo isn't gonna stop making them. They've already sold millions and millions of 3DSs, and the next
Yeah,
generation is like pretty much gonna happen. Although in
yeah,
Nintendo's case, I couldn't see the handheld going away, but if the Wii U continues selling as poorly as it is, they might straight give up on the home console.
yeah. It's been really bad. It hasn't been selling at all. Everywhere I go, there's tons of those systems everywhere.
Yeah, the thing is,
You
like
know,
I'm not even saying like it's gonna make Nintendo go out of business, but I remember them saying that like after the GameCube, if they were like if the next console, which was the Wii, sells as much as the GameCube, then we're gonna stop making home consoles. So like the Wii was a huge success, but now the Wii U is out and it's in Japan it's selling half of what the Vita sells every week.
yeah. And the funny thing is I heard people say, oh, the PS3, the 360, man, the Wii won the generation. And I think to myself, what did they win? Did they
Well,
really win
sales, they
anything?
won
Like,
sales, but
they might have won sales, but okay, those people that bought those Wii systems, they didn't buy any games. All
yeah,
those casuals, they didn't buy any games, and it didn't change Nintendo's situation with third-party developers. It didn't change the situation where the third-party devs know that people buy Nintendo first-party games, and that's it for the most part. It didn't change anything. If anything, they're back at where they were with the 64 and the GameCube. They're back
I
in
mean
that
that's where they
same.
are now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
I
like,
hope I really hope that like they turn it around for the Wii U because I'm gonna buy one and I want games to be made for it. But
yeah,
currently you know it's kind of not looking so hot for the Wii U, and
yeah,
I mean that's sad for me because it's sad for anyone who likes games, but
yeah. It is.
it's the kind of thing where maybe Nintendo will pull out of the home console market and just switch to handhelds only. And
Yeah,
I mean, not to say that would be horrible, but it would be pretty bad. I think.
yeah.
I
It
hope
would.
I
It
hope it
would.
doesn't come to that, but I could see next generation. I could see them putting out another console and again having the same kind of mindset of like, if this doesn't do as good as, if this does worse than the Wii U, then we're gonna drop out. And I
Yeah.
and I could see the Wii U being like another GameCube, where like the life of it, like it sells like 20 or 30 million total.
Yeah, definitely. The tablet is definitely not that nunchuck, and that came at just the right time and piqued the right amount of curiosity from a different set of people. That's going to be hard to repeat on their end.
Yeah,
You know,
and
to
I hope it does well, but currently it's not looking well. And
no.
I say that because I'm gonna buy one. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying that to badmouth Nintendo,
No, I'll
but
buy one too. I will buy one too. It's just a matter of time. And
and I can see, in all honesty, I love the Vita, but I can say the same exact thing about the Vita. I hope
yeah,
it does well, but it's not doing so well right now.
right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, no matter where we look at, gaming is really the landscape is changing, dude, rapidly, more so than ever. And there's going to be some casualties, man, for sure. Everything is getting too expensive, and budgets are bigger, and there's more pressure on the studios than ever to deliver a game that sells, and pricing models are changing so much. It's a totally different ball game, you know, and the way these people adapt to the changes is how things will survive, you know.
Yeah, I
It's
hope it turns out for the better. Is what I'm
Me
saying.
too. Me
Uh,
too. I can guarantee you one thing. I think this will be the absolute last generation for physical release. I think it's going to be all digital from here on out after this console generation.
yeah, that would be sad.
Yeah, that'll put an end to the all of the um, take the disc out and put it in a new system. There's a code on it. That'll rid all that. That'll all be a reality because it's all digital. But I think it's where it's headed, dude, ultimately. I mean,
Yeah, I hope if anything they don't do that with the handheld systems, even though it's convenient. Like it's not convenient to have to switch out the memory and stuff all the time.
yeah, it's not. It's not. Yeah, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves talking about the next generation when this generation hasn't even. But if this is bringing up this much controversy and everybody's got their panties up in this much of a bunch, I can only imagine what the 7 years down the line from now will be, if or 10 years down, if it even is the same as it is now. Who knows? It's changing fast, man. But as of right now, really looking forward to the E3, looking forward to the new announcements of games, and really enjoying the handhelds that are out now. It's an exciting time for
Yeah,
sure.
hopefully, some of the worst case scenario stuff we talked about in the beginning doesn't come to pass. And
Yeah,
none of it is set in stone at the moment because none of those systems are out. So
no,
hopefully all our fears will be assuaged in some way.
yeah, and like I said, I hope Sony, was listening and paying attention. I'm sure Microsoft is heard the outrage, and I ultimately these guys know that they have to make their audience happy. And like we said, the worst case scenario, I don't think they're going to want to piss off that many people. So we'll see. Heading to E3, we'll definitely have to have an episode out shortly after, like pretty close after E3 comes out, to discuss, and see how far off we were, how close we were, and talk about it again.
Yeah, definitely. I think after E3, like Microsoft they can't look worse. So
No,
it's not going to be bad news for them, I don't think. But
no, it can't get any worse. I don't think. I guess I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should knock on wood, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I doubt it. I can't think of how they could make it worse.
yeah,
I mean, because
no,
everybody pretty much already has accepted the worst case scenario as the true scenario. So anything that fixes any of that will make them look, even if it's just incrementally, just a little bit better.
yeah, definitely. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Um, Joe, it's been fun talking again to you. And like I said, my schedule is opened up considerably, so I think we'll be able to get get this podcast back on track into some regular format of episodes, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. We'll definitely be able to stick to a schedule now, which if you listen to this and enjoy it, it's a good thing for you. It's definitely a good thing for us because we enjoy doing this.
Yeah, it sounds good. I think, we'll be able to get more episodes out as long as, we can fit our schedules together. It's a lot easier now, I think, though. So.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right. Talk to you guys next time.